everybody. I'd just like to share my presentation with you there now. I'm from Viatris, as Ruth has just said. Okay, guys. So obviously my presentation is a career in manufacturing engineering. We're a life science industry up here in Baldoyle. We're the largest generics pharmaceutical manufacturer in the world. I'm going to take you to a presentation, just a little bit of a profile on myself, on the company, opportunities within the company in manufacturing engineering, and some of the tools that we use along the way. And I've got a little exercise at the end just to demonstrate one of the tools. And then at the end, if anyone has any questions, certainly by all means, fire ahead. So myself, I'm a mechanical engineer, graduated 1995 from Trinity College, have work experience offshore oil exploration in the North Sea, iron ore mining in Western Australia, in Drogheda, seawater magnesium producing or processing, and pharmaceutical manufacturing here in Ireland. Responsibilities, like started off as a graduate engineer, worked as project engineer, reliability engineer, technical coordinator, and now as engineering manager and people manager. Within my engineering career progression, I've been exposed to safety, environmental, maintenance, manufacturing, design, projects, quality, people management, HR, IR, lean manufacturing, which is key at the moment in finance. So again, it gives you such a broad exposure having come from an engineering background. One of the biggest career learnings, human capital and physical capital. Obviously physical capital is the machines and the plant and the built environment. Human capital are yourselves, myself, and all my colleagues. And it's really to make sure that we differentiate in the way we treat both sets, but also like to put the focus really into human capital. The more you invest in human capital, the more physical capital will work for you. Viatris overview. Viatris was formed in 2020. It was a combination of Mylan, not sure people know histories, and then Upjohn, which was the generics division of Pfizer. So obviously that combined, largest generics manufacturer worldwide at the moment. Global workforce of over 40,000 people, and really the focus there was trying to integrate the strengths of both companies. Global operating platform, technical resources, commercial team, and the global portfolio, the sales footprint. And that all enables increased access to affordable quality medicines for patients worldwide, which is the end goal. Global portfolio includes brand names, EpiPen, which people would be aware of, Viagra, and people are aware of, generics and biosimilars. So as in Viatris, we're very committed to helping create healthier communities worldwide, and we do that through education, outreach, and better access to treatment through the generics and the cost models that we have. So working at Viatris for myself, really it's like we embrace diverse perspectives. We definitely know that it drives innovation. The more experience we get in, the more people we get in that have different viewpoints, that we can trade opinions and ultimately get forward. That's what we want. It's a place, certainly I've seen, it's a place where you can be yourself and you can use your experiences and skills to make an impact. Everybody welcomes your opinion. There's a real support atmosphere here, which I really enjoy, that everybody's opinion is taken. It's discussed. If it's something that's going to run, you get all the support you want. If it's something that needs to be tweaked, well, we'll sit down and we'll try and work with it. It's a very inclusive environment. You can be yourself, your best self every day. And as a workforce, we strive to enable each employee to realise their full potential. Some of the benefits, if you were to hopefully join the team here in Viatris, remote and flexible working arrangements. Obviously, with what's after happening over the last year and a half, that's become a very strong focus for companies as well as employees. Benefits, healthcare packages, financial packages, bonuses, obviously compensation, pension, retirement savings schemes, career development and planning. I think that's one of the strongest things I've seen here is the real focus on education and trying to develop people who come in, and if they want to progress down the education route, if they want to progress through the experience route and site, you'll get all the support you need. Obviously, education assistance plays a part in that, and a recognition program where people do get recognized for what they do. Small things, big things, that if you make a difference and you put in the effort, you will be recognized. Main focus on all of this is really employee retention. Pharmaceutical, probably more than most other industries, it really lives off employee retention, because it's all about making sure that we do things right, we keep compliant. It's about making sure that the end product is safe for the patient, and we do that by having experienced people on site who know what to do and know how to change things if things are going amiss. So in Viatris manufacturing engineering opportunities areas, there's vast areas where you can get involved in if you come from an engineering background or want to get involved in engineering, maintenance, quality, packaging, engineering systems, materials technology, projects, reliability engineering, which is where the route I came through, spare parts, manufacturing, IT, facilities, utilities, validation, tooling, and process. So a vast areas there that people can get involved in, and you can move around when you get in as well. Certainly I have seen that, and it's something that we encourage on site. The Viatris culture then, just to put things, say, in perspective and how we like to do things here. So integrity is obviously one of the main focuses of the culture. And I think that really starts off with the error culture that we built up on site. And just to explain for people who aren't aware of what an error culture is, an error culture is a non-blaming culture as opposed to a blaming culture. And just the difference is the error culture is about fact-finding, not fault-finding. It's about focusing on a process, not on the individual, asking why and not who, looking for system issues, not zeroing in the function, determine needs, not make assumptions, hold accountable, not blame, assist, not control, improve capability, not inspect and sort. So it's about trying to, like, in opportunities, come from mistakes, come from people saying, look, had a problem, let's sort it out, and we get it sorted out, not trying to push it under the table. A blame culture encourages people to hide it, and we have a real culture here of trying to bring things to the fore and encouraging people to come forward and sort problems out, because problems create opportunities. So really, once we have that culture in place, the error culture, that then sets the scene then for a positive work environment, enthusiasm, energy, and optimism within the company, because people feel they can challenge, they can test, they can push the boundaries, and if they make a mistake, well, it's embraced, and then we find a way of getting over that hurdle. And diversity, obviously, as well, as I said earlier on, like the diversity helps us get the most robust solutions. Dedication, striving for excellence in everything we do, learning, education, improvement, trying to continually improve. With learning, I think there's a real continuous improvement environment here, where we're all the time trying to add that extra layer onto what we've already done. Innovation, again, I think being a generics manufacturer, we're a lower cost-based supplier, so we really need to try and be innovative in the way we want to do things. And I think for any engineer or anyone who's technically minded, who has ideas and wants to try and advance, this is the place to do it. Execution, again, getting things done, not talking about it, not procrastinating, just getting it done, making sure it's right. Collaboration, working together, mutual development. I think there's a real atmosphere here of I think, encouraging people and really valuing people's strengths and opinions. Flexibility and agility, again, always having to change and adapt to what's being thrown our way. Safety, I think, is one of the key aspects of site in general. Engineering, because you're quite technically involved in the plant. I think safety, we expect people to come into work safe, leave work safe. So there's a lot, and I think as an engineer, you'd be involved in an awful lot of safety training and safety initiatives. So standard training on site, manual handling, first aid, electrical. Mental health is obviously a key focus at the moment as well. Has always been, but at the moment it's up in lights, making sure that everybody is aware of mental health concerns, so you can spot if there is people who are having issues, you can address it and try and help people out. Permits for everything we do, risk assessments, meta statements, skills metrics, the standard safety protocols. Gemba walks, I think, is very strong here, where we bring people together and we look through other people's eyes to make sure we pick on issues that could happen as opposed to what's wrong at the moment. Safety inspections, regular audits. Safety first, start of every meeting, start of every presentation. It's the most important thing inside, making sure our human capital is protected. Workplace well-being, as I said, mental health, and obviously the training that we provide to make sure that we minimize any risk of anyone getting hurt on site. Engineering technology, so I suppose this is really what people are interested in. You can see where technology is taking industry at the moment. If you look at the bottom half of this technology ecosystem, blockchain, robots, mobile devices, 3D printing, augmented reality. The top side is the IT side of things, like CRM, cloud edge computing, cybersecurity, data analytics. They're all areas like that are really coming to the fore now. So just in the next couple of slides, I'm going to have a run through a few of those items which we actually practice on site here, and I think are really just in the early stages of being developed on site. So great time for people to come in who are interested in that. 3D printing, augmented reality, and this computer maintenance management systems. So augmented reality, I think most people would have had some sort of exposure to augmented reality, possibly in the way of the recent Pokemon craze. Or in using virtual reality glasses or augmented reality glasses. So where we see the value of it on site is really around remote maintenance solutions. COVID has had to push everybody to try and rethink how they carry out their daily work, trying to get, because we've got very specific machines on site and we need urgent support. We weren't able to get access to technicians because of the restrictions that were placed on flying, on travel. Obviously then with the expertise as well, that they were really sought after, so you may not get the right person, and there could be 2 or 3 weeks lead time. So we had to go down and we had to look for another route. And we went down the route of augmented reality, where we worked with companies to set up a system where they could dial in from wherever their office was globally. And they could look through our eyes, or we could look through theirs to try and sort our problems out. So really that's where COVID pushed us, which is great. So it means that having remote maintenance solutions means it addresses the urgency issue and it addresses the expertise issue, because you have someone who can sit in a desk in Italy or in Singapore and can guide you through a problem within the space of possibly half an hour, depending on what sort of contract we've got set up with them. Training as well, like we were able to get training because we have new starters coming through. And we want to get everyone up to speed on the machines, and through augmented reality, we were able to get guys trained up on our own equipment with a professional service technician in the background trying to guide the guys through the work. That can be done on site in an office, or it can be done from a remote office, said. And it also gave the opportunity for intimate assessment control, because you were looking through the eyes of the technician who was carrying out the maintenance function for the training. And one of the other areas I think that really we noticed that it came to the fore was that contamination control. Obviously, to go into a room in pharma or biopharma, you have to get gowned up, and that can take from 20 minutes, sometimes to 40 minutes to get gowned. And if there's a problem, there's a lead time involved in that, and there's also then contamination every time someone enters and leaves the room. So with having a pair of augmented reality glasses in the rooms, it meant that the frontline operators could put the glasses on, could show the technicians the problem, and they could decide whether it was something that had to address urgently, or they could guide the technician in how to solve the problem. So as I was just saying, asset management, work procedures, that's key. The glasses, we programmed them to recognize the assets through a QR code. The asset info was made available. You can see here the SOPs and the information on the asset was made available on the screen. So for the work required, and then the work could be validated once it was complete. all instructions for what had to be done were animated on screen as well, so the technicians knew exactly what had to be done. Remote service as well, as I said, that a video call could be made to an expert sitting in an office wherever. We could put on the glasses, the technician could see, or the remote expert could see what the on-site engineer was seeing, and advise and give visual instruction from the glasses on screen. And again, this reduced lead time and travel costs. So this is what the expert can see, and the top picture there obviously is our technicians wearing the glasses. The next area, as far as technological advances which we've embraced here, is the area of 3D printing, because of the lead times involved in some of our items, because they were from manufacturers in different parts of the world, and we had to try and go down a route of making sure that we had the parts available when we wanted, and rather than hold massive amounts of parts and have stock holding costs, we decided to go down the route of 3D printing. For whatever parts we could reverse engineer them and have the program plans that we could print when we needed. So this was able to address the issue of urgent spare parts. It also helped us minimize stock holding, save space, and save money. So obviously a machine, nylon, or whatever other material you decide to use at the time or recommended by a supplier, and can print off cogs, sprockets. And that's mainly what we do at the moment, but we have printed collars, brackets, bushes, as well. And I think it's really something that I think a lot of the young engineers who are coming in, they want to get involved in this here. Like, and again, it's something we embrace. Anyone who we can give exposure to, the better. Spare parts development, it's really helped us then go down the route of making design improvements ourselves, rather than going back to the manufacturer, which the process can be quite slow in making any changes. Again, because with generics, we need something done fairly quickly. Modifying, we can modify it if the machine is slightly worn and the new bush or the new gear is too defined. We can try and modify it and run it down a little bit to make sure it sits in properly. And obviously then we can repair, we can make pieces or sections if anything is broken to slot in. So again, this is a real strong area for us. And CMMS, which is our computer maintenance management system. These aren't new, they've been around a long time, but they have advanced an awful lot. And I think the system we're using is PMAC Assets, which is from a local company. And I think since we put it in a couple of years back, or since we developed up to the assets, we put it in a few years back, you can see the benefits from what we've seen, that everything used to be paper-based here, had to be signed off, stored, collected, whereas now we're 100% paperless. All our maintenance is paperless. So effectively, we've taken 1 million wet signatures out of the business workflow, and we've seen a 64% reduction in maintenance costs. Our maintenance activity, which would have been probably 80% unplanned, has now gone to 80% planned, and that's within 2 years, which is a real strong achievement. Significant reduction in equipment downtime, 54% non-value PMs removed, 75% saving on engineering time, which again, like trying to make sure that you get the best value out of your engineers on site. I think that's key. The non-value added PMs, that really came about from reliability centered maintenance focus, which is something we're quite strong on here. It's doing maintenance because it needs to be done, not for the sake of a PM that's put in place that may not be practical. And obviously our mean time between failures, MTBF, there's probably a few acronyms that I'm going to run through here. I'll try and explain them. They would be used generally within the industry, and they have significantly increased those time periods. So that's just an example of the PMAC, the mobile devices that we use at the moment, and obviously the screens and the data that can be got as far as helping us to try and keep our availability as high as we can. And obviously carrying out some of the maintenance on the machines. Really, for life science industry as well, engineering compliance is key. Compliance in general is key because you're in a pharmaceutical, you're in a food chain or a human chain industry. So really trying to make sure that we keep compliant with all our quality. And again, this is something anyone who's going to come in as an engineer, you get this very strong, disciplined view on how to carry out your work within a pharmaceutical environment, which is great. QMS, quality management system, change controls for GMP, which is good manufacturing process or production. Action items, so anything we have to do, we have to make sure they're executed on a timely manner, so we don't miss due dates, because it's audited so strongly, we have to keep within the timelines. Department reviews, we have to make sure they're robust enough to make sure that we've captured any issues. Deviations, which is a key focus within the pharma industry, and CAPAs then, which is corrective items, preventive actions, and closure of those. So every issue that comes up, you have to have a CAPA in place to make sure that the issue is addressed and it's prevented from happening in the future. And obviously then on the machines, again, one of the areas that we said people can have exposure to within the manufacturing engineering realm in Viatris is CQV, commissioning, qualification and validation of new machines coming in, which is great. I think all our engineers find that really interesting, and certainly getting the guidelines and the structure around doing that. And then SOPs, which is the cornerstone of every action we do on site, standard operating procedures. So obviously GMP is key, SOPs and the due date. Engineering risk compliance management tools, or engineering compliance risk management tools. These are really strong tools used by all our engineers on site. Root cause analysis, I think, is after an incident has happened, it's to try and find out what the possible root causes were and try and address them and eliminate them. Make sure the issue doesn't happen in the future. So this is normally something that's engaged after an incident has happened. Traditionally, we use the 6Ms: machinery, manpower, method, material, maintenance, and mother nature, and try and drill down, brainstorm to see how many risks or how many causes we can try and come up with that may have caused the action or may have caused the effect. And with that there, then whittle it down to some actions that we're going to address. And then the next one is failure mode and effect analysis. And this is something that we use, and it's stronger because it's something that you put in place before any issue has happened. So if a new machine is going in, possibly as part of the CQV, you try and look for areas for improvement or where a possible issue could happen and try and address that before you have to then go to the root cause. Risk assessments, TPM, which is total productive maintenance, and FLOAC. FLOAC is frontline operator asset care, and it's part of TPM where you try and relieve engineering of a certain amount of functions and give them over to the asset operator, because they're the frontline operator, and they can start trying to get involved in analysis of the running of the machines and if there is any issues. And I think we found it very strong with the introduction of augmented reality glasses and the system here to bring the frontline operators in, that they knew how to wear the glasses and they could be taught to try and address frontline issues. RCMs, said reliability centered maintenance, DMAIC, which is again is another lean analysis tool, and huddle boards, which I think goes back to the culture that we have here, that it's a matter of getting everybody together, getting their opinions, and trying to continually make improvements. And then last on this is lean manufacturing, which is the focus all across the pharma industry, all across every industry at the moment, trying to minimize waste and maximize outputs, maximize financial benefits, maximize safety. Really, and that all comes from minimizing waste. And one of the key tools in that is 6S. So for anyone who hasn't had any exposure to 6S, it's quite a simple tool, and I'm going to try and demonstrate it here over the next couple of slides. Normally, this is an exercise that's carried out in person with sheets of paper, and everyone gets 40 minutes to go through each of the rounds on it. So I'm just going to thumb through it fairly quickly, but it'll give you a flavor of what 6S can do, and then how it can be applied to a manufacturing site in general to minimize waste and improve productivity. So 6S effectively runs around, its safety is the cornerstone, it's the center point of all of this. And you've got then sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. So safety, like that's the top priority, and to make sure that whatever you do is done within a safe environment. Sort, set in order, and shine, they're really about setting the workplace standard. And then standardize and sustain, it's about maintaining, because that's the key, is that when you put something in place, that you maintain it and sustain it, and that becomes a norm. And then you move on from that as opposed to drift back. So we're just going to run through this game called a spanner game. Rules of the game are, you'll see a number of sheets of paper representing drawers of spanners. Your job is, or would be if it was a sheet of paper, but you can try and run with it anyway and see, can you do it within the time frame or how easy it would be, is to strike out the spanners from size 1 millimeter to 50 millimeters in order. And on the paper, you can strike them like any of those ways. Normally, you'd have 40 seconds to do your job. And the score will be your score will be the size of the last spanner that you found. So counting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, trying to get up to 50. So the size of the highest spanner that you found will be a score. Round 1 just involves safety. There's been no sorting or setting involved as yet. So just whatever would be done safety here. So that's the first drawer, spanners. And as you can see, it's just thrown everywhere, all numbered. Try and see, can you pick out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at least. So normally it's 40 seconds, as I say, but you can just really just get a flavor of like that's extremely difficult to try and pick anything there. If you're under pressure to try and fix a machine, trying to find the spanner is going to be half the battle. Round 2 then involves one of the remaining 5 S's after safety, sort. So spanners from 51 upwards will be removed because they're non-essential for the tasks that are required. Identify the spanners then again from 1 to 50 during the 40 seconds and record your high score again. So you can see it's starting to get easier now. The non-essential spanners are removed. Still difficult. Even trying to find, you can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's still difficult in this, but you should be able to do it quicker. Okay, round 3 then. So you're going to engage the set in order and the shine. And setting an order is organizing all the essential items, labeling to minimize the search, and obviously it operates under a place for everything and everything in its place. And shine then, keep the workplace clean and tidy. So far we've removed spanners 51 to 100. For this round, we're going to set the spanners just into rows, nothing more than that, just put them in rows. The spanners have all been cleaned, so the size can now be visible on them. And this time, yeah, we can make a note of missing spanners that we come across. So same rules apply, 40-second shift and low score. Again, you can see now it's starting to get much easier. So the spanners are more or less gauged in sizes. They're not in order as yet, but you should be able to find the spanner that you're looking for much quicker. Round 4 then is about standardizing and sustaining. And standardizing is to make it easy to conform to a workplace standard, have a workplace standard and make sure that everywhere applies or conforms to it. And sustaining then, everyone to maintain the workplace standard. 6S becomes part of your everyday thinking. So now it's the matter of spanners 1 to 50 again. The logical step is obviously to organize them in a standard way, which would be consecutive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 50. You should ensure that everyone is able to complete the task successfully. That's the name of the game, is that everybody's able to do it within 40 seconds. And with the spanners being arranged in size order, any missing tools then are very quickly noticed. So this would be where you'd ultimately like to end up. And you can see much easier if someone asks you to go find spanner 24, you can go straight to it, as opposed to have to shuffle around and possibly lose 5-10 minutes looking for the spanner. So that's just a very simple example of how one lean tool can work, but it's really the focus of where industry is going now to make sure you're minimizing as much wastage as you can. Okay, look, that's my presentation on why I think you should join Viatris engineering team. Said the culture, I think it's a great culture here. It's really proactive, very, very encouraging, very people focused. I think that's key to job satisfaction for everybody. Safety, very safety focused. I ran through all the tools, and that's really only tipping the iceberg on them. I think there's always safety initiatives coming out, and we really, really, really like when people come in and they've seen something somewhere else that works. You know, it's a very open door trying to get it put into place here. Innovation, again, because we're a generics manufacturer, we have to be on the ball. We have to be at the forefront of all innovation to make sure we're minimizing our costs, we're maximizing our productivity. Compliance, cornerstone of pharmaceutical, cornerstone of the FDA, HPRA, all the regulated environments that you may ultimately work in or supply into. And satisfaction, I think for the company that we're doing the best we can, and for individuals, for myself, and for any prospective employee out there, job satisfaction. So please join us. Thanks for listening to my presentation. And now if anyone's got any questions, I'll be very open to answer if I can.
Jason, thank you very much. That was incredibly thorough, and I may end up dreaming about spanners tonight. But it was, you made the example so very understandable and tangible. So thank you for that. I'm sure there was a lot of people watching thinking that this could be the place for them to contact. So I know they can contact you on the platform today.
Yes.
Couple of points that you made that really jumped out at me, that you're enabling a strong reputation in employee well-being, in employee retention. You have an error culture that asks why and not who.
Absolutely.
And that the more you invest in human capital, the more return you see on your physical capital. So actually, Jason, at this time, we've run out of time for you. So if people do have questions, they're going to have to go to you directly, if that's okay. But like I say, they can do it on the platform here today. So thank you so much for sharing with us. And I wish you luck the rest of the day. And I hope you get lots of very interested and curious people, and very, very spanner curious people as well, joining you in the near future. But thank you so much.
Thanks, Ruth. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.